You are not going to believe this story today. So Bitcoin is crashing and taking the market with it. If you're into crypto, you know that. But Trump has just pushed for the release of the Epstein files, kind of taking a 180 from where he was before. And the most shocking part is that the Epstein emails were already released and it connects to Bitcoin. Apparently, what? Epstein was connected to the creation of Bitcoin? I am shocked. Doug, what is going on?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what's going on, but I saw this going blasting all over X and I was like, hold on. I need to check this out a little bit further. And it really actually does kind of make sense when you break it all down. And it's not terribly surprising, but it's one of those weird things where it's like the dynamic of like, I'm not surprised, but I'm also surprised at the same time. So there's a lot, lot to talk about for sure.
Okay, so where are we starting?
We got Dan Pena. Dan Pena, this is where this all starts for me, at least anyway. He had this haunting caution a while ago, and it's becoming less and less mysterious. He said if you knew who was behind Bitcoin, you would sell it. If you owned Bitcoin, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And we're gonna end
You
cap.
said that on an episode recently, and I remember you saying it, and I remember thinking, is it Epstein? Like I literally had that thought in my brain.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was like, is it Epstein? Like, is that who he's talking about? I don't know if it's just a random guess, but that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, should have said it. Oh well. Now, well, I mean, I guess technically this hasn't been confirmed, but we've got some crazy evidence that I've pulled together from other people, and some logical conclusions I put together myself, and I'm sure you've got some thoughts on it too. But a little quick note on Peanut, real quick. There's a supposed fact circulating that he said that it was Putin who created Bitcoin. As far as I can tell, that's not true. Pina used Putin as an example in an interview at one point, but from what I could tell, he made it pretty clear that he was just kind of using it as an example, a story. He wasn't like exposing some hidden truth or whatever. So if somebody
I
has
could think
evidence
that would be a crazy upset if Putin was behind Bitcoin too, but absolutely.
But yeah, so if somebody has that actual evidence, there's one article I found that said it, but it didn't source him actually saying it. So I don't know about that one. That's too not solid enough. So if somebody actually has like a YouTube video of Dan Pena coming out saying yes, it was Putin who created Bitcoin, then that'd be interesting. But either way, not that big of a deal because what he said still applies regardless of whether or not he thinks it's Putin and was wrong and it was Epstein. Who knows?
Right. But we've seen the evidence. We've seen the evidence that the CIA is connected somehow, right? Like we've shown that before in another episode.
Yeah, we have, and I got that pulled up here in this episode. They can choose to crash Bitcoin at any moment. Satoshi Nakamoto and the CIA. We broke down how it really could actually be a CIA operation, and so
by the end of that episode, I was convinced, Doug. I was 100% convinced. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Epstein connection is that what Dan Pena said, if it is accurate, is he said who's behind it, not necessarily who created it. So it could still be like a weird hybrid of sorts. I mean, a lot of people had their hands in Bitcoin. So the thing about Bitcoin is it works. The concept still works, but I'm not really losing sleep over it because that's the most unshocking shock of all times. Like,
right.
Oh, really? Yeah, the CIA. Okay, well, they're watching everything anyway. So
exactly.
I mean, like, we're kind of used to that at this point.
Exactly. I bet the CIA could find some way to crash a coin if they wanted to, whether they were at the bottom of it or not, So
yeah, none of us would be like, oh, I never saw that coming.
Exactly.
So the Epstein emails, I'm thinking it's like this big onion, right? We're peeling back layer by layer, and one big onion layer just got peeled back, and man, it sure stinks. I did not mean to make that such a great analogy, but it works.
Awesome. You did the whole Shrek thing there.
Yeah. So Bitcoin is tanking. I'm going to throw this up on screen so everybody can see. It really is. This isn't like a normal, normal drop. This is a little bit more than normal.
Oh, it's been going nuts lately.
Yeah, I think, let's see. I looked earlier. I got Bitcoin's down nearly 4% today as of the time of my research. Let's see if that's still the case. I think it's still generally around there. It hit an insane all-time high just 6 weeks ago at
Mhm.
125,000. So keeping that in mind with how far down it's going, it just suggests that something else is going on. Yeah, it's generally around the same 92,000 or so,
Crazy.
give or take right now. Sailor
Crazy.
strategy is buying the dip and then buying the dip and then buying the dip, and it keeps dipping. He,
Mhm.
interestingly enough, a few days ago, he posted this, which this is the funniest thing, in my opinion, because it's literally Michael Saylor who's on a lifeboat
Yeah.
escaping the ship that's burning and sinking in the background, and he's saying hodl. Like, for those who don't know, hodl means hold on for dear life. It's not a typo on purpose. Well, it is a typo for fun, but it's on purpose.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an odd
Wow, that's
choice
weird.
of an image that he would send everybody as Bitcoin's going down. He's like, well, I'm out, see ya.
Yeah. That's strange. So another thing that I guess is seemingly unrelated, but I don't think it's unrelated. I think there's a connection here. President Trump just pushed for the release of the Epstein files, which, you know, I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed earlier this year when everybody's saying release the files, and then Trump says, "Can we just get over this already?" I'm like, wait a minute, like you were
Right.
supposed to be leading the pack on this one. What happened? And now he's saying he's pressuring Republicans to release the files, right? House Republicans. This is what he said. House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax. And I think he's finally hit the end of that pressure of people saying this is why you're not releasing, this is why you're not releasing it. And
Mhm.
obviously there's so many people that will be implicated, once it's released, and that's fine. I think it's better just to expose people. The truth needs to come out, right? The
Yeah.
vote is expected tomorrow, Tuesday the 18th. And in case you missed it, apparently the House was in a flurry over the weekend with nearly 100 Republicans breaking rank to side with Democrats on releasing the files. I don't think that's breaking rank. I honestly think when it comes to
Right.
issues like this, we forget that we are Americans and we see ourselves as Democrats and Republicans, and we think we can never agree on anything. Well, guess what? Both Democrats and Republicans get up and eat food in the morning, right? We all tie our shoelaces, like it's like
Yeah.
there are certain things. We all live in the United States of America. There are certain things that we can agree on that are just right, and it's right to do. Whether you think everything else the other side does is completely evil and terrible, it's like at the same time, that does not surprise me or shock me. Now I know the ones that have something to hide are going to want to be. They're going to be the ones that are pushing back from having it released, right?
Right.
But the mainstream is still attempting that Trump is not linked to any wrongdoing in the Epstein case. I haven't seen that, Doug. Like I'm seeing that in what you said in our notes here, but I'm like,
This Politico
I've seen both.
article. Yeah,
They're
they're
saying
saying
that.
that.
I've seen both of those things. I've seen some
Yeah.
mainstream articles saying that he is implicated, others not saying that. So, you
Yeah,
know,
well, I think that what's happening is they're trying to drop in the little statements for like a CYA kind of thing where it's like technically Trump hasn't been caught doing anything illegal, but we sure think he has.
right? Yeah, they're
That's
probably
kind
trying
of
to
what I'm
save their
saying.
hide for after the fact or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, then they can always point back and say, "But look what we said in the subtext later."
Right. Yeah.
Um, and this is where, according to the notes you've got written up here, and now I did not have time to prepare for this episode today, so I'm just reading what Doug wrote. But this is where you say the story gets crazy, and I'm excited to hear what comes next. This is shocking. This is shocking. But before we get into that, let's hear a quick message from our sponsor. Investing can be confusing and scary, but it doesn't have to be. Genesis Gold Group takes the guessing out of the game and guides you on your gold investment journey. We at Filibusted love the genius design of the Prepper Bar, which breaks up into sections, kind of like a chocolate bar. But if you prefer high security insured gold storage, they have that too. And unlike Fort Knox, the gold is actually there, 100% owned by you. So don't wait to get started. Visit filibustedgold.com today for a free investment guide from Genesis Gold Group. What's going on, Doug? Let us know.
Okay, so the more Epstein files were released on the 12th, last Wednesday, and the public has had a chance to go over them. And apparently there's a lot, I think it was like 20,000 pages of documents. And here's the official government website where you can go click on this link right here. And it takes you to a Google Drive shared document that I was not brave enough to download things. I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
So I clicked on the link and then it opened up my personal Google Drive where I could then go in there and download these documents to my computer. And I'm not that brave. So uh,
I
I
don't blame you.
went on a different search from other sources. But um, so bottom line is basically what I found, and we'll get into the details of this, but not to like keep putting it off, but Epstein funded in part Bitcoin. This
Wow.
happened according to these documents, if these documents are true. So if we're to believe everything in the recent email communications from Epstein to his cohorts or to whoever it is that he was talking to from this drop of information right here, then he actually had quite a bit to do with the development of Bitcoin.
Wow.
Here's an article on it. He was influential in it. At first, it looks like he may have just invested a few $100,000, but like during the infancy, this is all around the start of Bitcoin. But he did a little bit more than that. So he donated at least $750,000 to DCI, which is the Digital Currency Initiative. This enabled the rapid recruitment and payment of salaries for Bitcoin core developers. But upon further investigation, it looks like he may have invested more, like $7.5 million, and then
Wow.
in like directly him, and then another $5 million on top of that indirectly through another partner, basically. So
Wow.
he's, if that's true, which this is still, I mean, basically what this is all coming down to is we've got a lot of independent journalists who are just putting connecting dots together, and this is one of the dots that they've connected based on the emails that came out. He must have done this because it's just a logical conclusion, right? But no big official word has come out and said yes he did. But the official word actually is at least $750,000 Epstein did guaranteed invest that into Bitcoin. So I got some X posts pulled up here. Let's see. This is an interesting one. And the reason I'm using the X post is because, like I said, I didn't want to download this myself.
Right. Right.
So
But
I,
this is from the documents that the government has released, the Epstein files that they've
yes.
released so far.
Yeah, so I guess technically this might be somebody's like own conjured up little PDF that they created, but I would be surprised if that were the case because I've seen this all over the place now. I just chose the ones that were most apparent for what I was getting at here. But this post says that Epstein mentions the Bitcoin Foundation, and Gavin, if you click into this little guy right here, Gavin down here can only mean one guy. This is Epstein talking, or somebody talking to Epstein, I think, in this one. And this would be Gavin Anderson, the guy that Satoshi gave, quote unquote, Bitcoin, the whole project to, which is once again in the video that we talked about earlier. We talked
Wow.
about Gavin and the whole transition from Satoshi when Satoshi disappeared and Gavin took over. So
Wow.
the next post, these are tight tabs. Okay. This one shows how Epstein networked directly with Satoshi. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I keep doing it differently. Satoshi, whatever his name is. I've only ever read it. And this was at a summit where he met with a lot of other people. So Epstein was a networker. So you can't
Yeah.
just like take somebody to the stake and burn them because they networked with Epstein, right? But all of these emails add up to showing that Epstein had a deep interest, a very well-funded interest, so much so that his money was in it, in Bitcoin and the use of it and getting it out there. And it's no surprise. Liz Crokin, she's been around for a while. She pointed out that this actually connects to Pizzagate, and she's been saying this for years, apparently.
Wow.
Um, and she said that the very first purchase of Bitcoin or using Bitcoin was for pizza, and she just couldn't ignore that. And
I
so she
remember
went
that.
down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole. It's weird. Like I
The
got the
most
article.
the most expensive pizza in the world at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. So she makes the connection there. And basically what she's saying is there's a reason why these things are happening like this. And it just kind of, it makes sense. What do you think of all that evidence so far?
I am shocked. I am dumbfounded by this coming out on X. I think I saw you sent me some links to X earlier today. A couple thoughts in my mind. I am more thoroughly convinced than ever that Satoshi is a made up person. And I
Right.
honestly think that uh, Gavin being given the Bitcoin project, I think that was just a ruse for, I didn't want my name to be on it, and to be like the founding, but now it's like working, it's out there, and now and I'm fine with my name being on it. So I'm going to give it to myself, basically. Like that's just me. That's a thought in my brain. But him and whatever team is behind it, it's like, I think that's what it was. Like, let's hide our identities. And then at this point we don't need to, or whatever.
Right.
That kind of thing. But obviously the CIA could definitely easily, Epstein has CIA connections and all that. So it's like, it could easily be, be involved there as well. But man, it's nuts. I mean, it's crazy. It's nuts. I hate to go off of feelings, I hate to go off of feelings, but I have not liked Bitcoin from the beginning. I'll just say that. I had people try to sell me Bitcoin way back in the day that honestly, if I had taken them up on it, it was 2012 or 2013, I would have been so rich at this point. But at the same time, I'm like, whatever. I'm kind of glad I didn't. I don't know. I just didn't. I don't know. So what are your thoughts?
I'm right there with you on that. I've had I invested in it one time at just like a couple $100 when it was going up like last year. And I don't know why, but I just kind of felt icky about it. But also I've been doing a lot of research in the more darker world of like the Pizzagate stuff. So it's not surprising. Like in the back of my mind, I always think like Bitcoin is dark money. Like it doesn't have to be, like it could be used for normal things, but it definitely is used for dark things, like on the deep web, things, illegal things that you're not supposed to be getting into. And so it's like, I'm not using it for that reason, but by buying into it, I'm supporting that that infrastructure.
Yeah, basically. And I'll say this much, there's the whole idea of like blood diamonds, right, around the world. Just because somebody bought blood diamonds without knowing what they were at one time, or or multiple times, that doesn't make them a bad person, right? Because they didn't know what was behind that, But the more that stuff comes out, if it's very clear that yes, I know 100% that I'm buying blood diamonds, then maybe I'm going to choose not to buy those. Know what I mean? Like I'm gonna at that point have a personal conviction choice to make, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying people that are invested in Bitcoin are bad people. I'm not saying that at all. But I think it's going to change the way the public views Bitcoin once this story hits mainstream. I think it's getting there, but I haven't seen it everywhere yet, and I feel like this is a huge deal.
Yeah, and actually, I just remembered. So this is weird. I hate to reference this guy because I disagree with probably 99% of what this guy says, but he said something interesting, and it was Andrew Tate. He posted on X the other day, and he actually said something something to the effect of like, everybody who uses Bitcoin will be held responsible for it at some point. It was a crazy claim that he made, but basically the message that he was sending was, even though he bought it, so I don't know how that works for him, but the message he was sending was,
he doesn't have a conscience, so that's how that works.
I mean, one could argue. He was saying that Bitcoin is connected to all this dark stuff and illegal stuff, and if you don't like recognize that danger, then you're dumb. That's kind of his ultimate message. But the reality is that that's true to a degree, but it's still kind of a crazy thought.
Right. So what are like the deep implications here, when it comes to Bitcoin?
I think that this has been potentially a honey trap all along. And for those who don't know, a honey trap is essentially the concept that you sweeten something to lure people in, right? So that's the logical conclusion, but it's used for dark things, like to catch people doing illegal stuff, right? And so Bitcoin was created with, it's nearly untraceable. Like you can trace it, but it's not easy. People make it look easy, but it's really not easy. Especially when you're using it on the deep web, it's not easy to trace, and you can use it to buy whatever, or we'll just say whoever you want, if you have enough of it. And it wouldn't surprise me if this was some kind of CIA trick where maybe Epstein was a secret agent. I once again hate to use that term because it makes it sound cool, but it's really not.
It's not
with the CIA using.
Either way, Epstein was insanely evil. Like we could say that,
So it's trapping a lot of people, and it is traceable. It's just hard to trace. So maybe at some point they'll be able to find out who used Bitcoin for what. And
Mm,
perhaps that will be the downfall of Bitcoin whenever they come out with that information. So it's just dark money. And that's the deepest secret of it, in my opinion. And it was used, I really do think it was used for some dark things. Not always, but
yeah.
that's the core of it.
That's rough, man. I mean, I could definitely see that being the case because that would be the way to set up a trap to say, hey, you're not going to get caught because here's the,
Right.
here's the way to do it without being traced or whatever. And it's
Yeah. And
that's
when Bitcoin came out, it
terrible.
looked like that too. It absolutely looked like something like you could use this and no one would ever know.
Right. It's
But
terrible.
all dark things come to light, right?
Right.
When I
Yeah.
first heard Dan Pena make the comment about the you wouldn't be able to sleep at night part, that was like, I was like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense for the CIA. Not surprising. Even for Putin, I was like, I mean, I'd be uncomfortable with it. I don't like that, but I'd still sleep. But this is
Hmm.
different. This makes sense. If
Yep.
that's true, I think that most people could say, "Oh yeah, I'm done. I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be a part of this." And that's
Right.
my bottom line on it. So we'll see if another layer gets peeled back and more information comes out on this, and we'll start going
I
back
think
up.
I think we're gonna see a big old crash with Bitcoin. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but that's just my conclusion to this would be, and my guess would be that Bitcoin's going to crash like crazy. Like,
Yeah.
and it should. I mean, it rightfully should, like,
Yeah. If these things are true, then we need to reevaluate.
yeah, imagine putting your money in. So we had a Italian restaurant that was kind of semi-famous here in where we live, Doug, before you ever moved here. And anyways, for a long time, everybody knew it was the worst Italian food ever. Why on earth would you go there? It was so bad. Sometimes people would go there and then regret the decision, and just be like, "Oh, this is so bad." Anyways, it was there forever, and we always wondered why. It ended up being the front for a drug running operation, and then everybody in the town said,
Wow.
"Oh, that makes sense." And it's like, the headline that day on the newspaper was, they finally got busted, like, and we were all like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah." But here's the thing is like, that's the thing. It's like, now whoever did that, everybody in the town knows what was going on. So if they get out of prison a few years later and go, "I'm starting a new Italian restaurant. Do you want to invest?" Nobody's going to invest in that thing. You know what I mean? It's like
Not the
that's
right
why
people anyway.
yeah, not a lot of people. That's why I think Bitcoin is going down the tubes, and
Yeah.
I think the drop that we've seen is a preliminary drop, and I think maybe it has to do with so a little bit of that quote unquote insider trading with the people that knew first,
Right.
the big money people, the whales that were getting out first. But I think a lot more people are going to abandon it after this. Like, there's just in my mind, there's no way for that not to happen.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
anyway,
There's a question I want to answer on here real quick, and then I think we can wrap it. But this is from Overflow. She asks, "Are there any Christian coins? If all the Christians got together to invest on a coin that we can really trust, I think we can really do some serious stuff. Is that possible?" For one, as far as crypto goes, that's the to try to design something where everybody gets into it all at once is kind of that's a difficult thing to do in many different ways.
mhm,
So I'll say two different answers to that. Number one, I'll just say God says the gold and the silver is mine. So that's never a bad area of investment. And then number two, there are a lot of cryptos out there, but there are only a handful of cryptos that have a lot of clarity with them already and are doing a lot. And you can
yeah,
just tell it, you just have to do your own research. I don't really like to tell people what to invest in, but I will say just do some research on the top cryptos and start there and figure out which ones seem to have the most activity abroad and which ones are doing the most things, the most involved with banks, the most involved with legal clarity and all of that. And you can come to a better conclusion based off of that, because the more involved they are, the less likely they are to be hiding dark things, if that makes sense.
right. Another thing is, I, if we get wind of something like that, we will definitely be talking about it on this program, because that's the same thought I had last week. I was like, is there a Christian coin that I could jump into, where I can trust who's
Mhm.
behind it, trust the community, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if we get wind of something like that, we will definitely be letting y'all know. Yeah. But yeah, great episode, Doug. Thank you so much for bringing this information. Shocking content. And we will see y'all hopefully tomorrow. Gold is not just a backup plan if the world falls apart. It's an investment opportunity that could set you up for generations. There's never really a bad time to invest in gold, but you want to make sure you have the right guide. And that is where Genesis Gold Group shines. Whether you are a first-time buyer or a seasoned investor, their trusted expertise and competitive pricing makes them an easy choice. They offer tangible assets in case of emergencies, but they can also design the perfect IRA just for you. And they'll even cut through all that confusing red tape from the IRS. We at Filibusted love the genius design of the Prepper Bar, which breaks up into sections like a chocolate bar. But if you prefer a more high-security insured gold storage, they have that too. And unlike Fort Knox, the gold is actually there and 100% owned by you. Genesis Gold Group is a safe, simple, and convenient way to invest. Visit filibustedgold.com today for your free investment guide from Genesis Gold Group.